Alright, now these right here are the all-new Sony XM5 wireless headphones. Now, of course, these have been in the market for quite some time now, and I'm sure you've seen all the reviews out there. But for me, well, I just got my hands on these. Well, not just, I have been using them for almost 2 weeks now, and I really have some thoughts. Also, considering the fact that these are priced differently in the Indian market, so it's important to understand whether you should buy these cans or not. And that's what this video is all about. This is one from GTR, and well, you're just watching my in-depth review of the Sony XM5s. Let's get started. Alright, so right off the bat, let's just start by talking about the design here. And okay, so the design language of Sony's headphones have always been a major talking point, and that's the same thing with the XM5s. They are extremely lightweight to the point where they just rest very comfortably on your head. That's usually not the case with a lot of headphones that have so much power inside them. But it's nice to see that Sony has managed to, well, pack in that much power without having to compromise on the weight. Now, of course, there is a compromise, which is the fact that these things do not fold completely, which means that they're not as portable. I mean, of course, this thing does come with a carrying case, but that's more of a pouch. It's not exactly a case per se. So yeah, I mean, it will take some space inside your bag or whatever way you want to carry it. Now, as far as the build quality is concerned, the headphones are made out of recyclable plastic, and they come in this beautiful matte black finish. There's also a white color variant available, but I personally like this black one more. Now, the headphones definitely feel more premium and has a soft touch feel to it. The only minus point here is that this finish captures fingerprints and smudges very actively, and if that annoys you, then you'll have to clean it quite often. Now, the ear cups here are padded with leather covered foam, and the headband comes with memory foam padding as well, which really adds on to the comfort. Also, the specially designed 30mm driver here features a soft edge and is also made of carbon fiber composite material. The ear cups have the same signature flattened dome as the previous one, so that's nice. And the ear cups swivel vertically both ways and have a sliding mechanism as well for adjusting the length of the ear cups. Now, it goes without saying that this is a premium headphone, so it's nice to see that you can just adjust it without having to worry about those noise that usually you get when you're adjusting the levels. It's just a very premium product, and the build quality is something that gives you more confidence, because a lot of times you have these headphones where even just adjusting the levels make you feel, oh my god, this is just going to break. That's not the case here, and that's really, well, makes you feel better about spending that much money. Now, in terms of usability, the left ear cup here is covered with buttons, including the noise cancellation button and the power button, which also, when pressed, switches the headphones into the pairing mode. There's also a 3.5 headphone jack here with a 3.5mm cable provided inside the box. Over to the right ear cup, you have a USB-C charging port, which is pretty much the standard what you would expect on flagship headphones. Speaking of flagship headphones though, it's quite surprising that these things are not water resistant. Now, I'll be very honest, I have used them a little bit while jogging, and I mean, as far as sweat resistance is concerned, there haven't been any issues per se. But even so, it's important to highlight that Sony itself does not offer any sort of resistance or does not basically claim any sort of water resistant. So if anything were to go wrong, you will have to pay for it. Sony is not liable for it. Now, while we were on the topic of the ear cups, it's also important to highlight that these things come with touch-based gestures, but those gestures work only on the right ear cup. That being said, the good part here is that the gestures work flawlessly. You can double tap to play or pause, swipe forward and backward to go to the next and previous song respectively, and swipe up or down to increase or decrease the volume respectively. What's more is that the songs also automatically pause when you even move the headphones from the natural position, which is always a welcome change. See, that is a feature that's most commonly seen with truly wireless earphones, but it's nice to see that even headphones like these come with that wear detection feature, which is very important and just really makes the whole experience of using a headphone far more natural and seamless. Now, as far as the mics are concerned, you get mics on both the ear cups, and as far as mic testing goes, I am quite happy with the microphone quality here. You can easily use these headphones for taking calls, and even in noisy environments, the noise reduction here works great. Also, one more thing that I'd like to highlight, which just goes with the fact of the design and the calls factor, is that, like I said, these things are very lightweight. So if you're on a Zoom call or just attending a work meeting, which just goes on for like 30-40 minutes or even an hour, these things are so lightweight that you can just enjoy a call without having to worry about. Now, that is one thing that I really do not like about truly wireless or even most headphones, because with most headphones, they are quite heavy. So for extended sessions, you don't want to wear them. And the same goes for truly wireless. For extended sessions, they start causing a pain in your ears. With the Sony XM5, you have neither of those issues, which is really good. Okay, so that was all the design and fundamental about it. But of course, the major deciding point of any headphone, any audio product has to be the audio quality, right? So how do the Sony XM5s perform? Well, in one word, amazing. In a couple of words, it's great for the most part. There is still some slight refinement, but that refinement depends on the kind of sound signature you prefer. See, here's the thing. Every brand has their own sound signature, and while everyone claims that to offer a balanced sound, that is never the case. Every brand has their own preference, and with the XM5s, Sony has shown that once again it slightly prefers the lows a bit more as compared to all the different spectrums. Now that's not a bad thing, and if you're a bass lover, you would absolutely love the XM5s because not only do you get clear mids and highs, but you get an enhanced low that comes, well, it's slightly in the region of natural bass, but very slightly boosted where you actually enjoy it, but it does not hurt your ears. So that basically creates a more immersive experience if you're listening to songs that have a more emphasis on the lows. That being said, if you're listening to different songs where there is a more emphasis on trebles, or if you're listening to tones where there is more emphasis on highs, in that scenario, the default setting will not work fine for you. You will have to play around with the equalizer settings, and see, in some scenarios, the bass almost outpowers the male vocals, and due to that, it may sound a little bit heavy and congested. For example, in some songs where the piano and vocals are the only musical elements, the sound of the piano seems heavy and the vocals as well. Now, of course, the highlighted feature of these headphones, or the whole XM series for that matter, is the ANC performance. Now, before we get into the ANC factor, even the passive noise cancellation is amazing. I mean, to the point where it just creates a kind of a dome around your ears, where it's not like it cancels out all the noise, all the sounds that are coming in front of you. It obviously suppresses them, so it's noticeable enough. Now, of course, when you turn on the ANC, it's just like you're just teleported to a different world where you are the only person and surrounded by all the sounds that you're listening to. One thing to note here is that the ANC is no more self-adjustable. Like in the app where you have the settings for noise cancellation, ambient sound and off, the slider is only available for ambient sound and there's no adjustment slider for the ANC toggle. This honestly was a little bit disappointing to me because, see, here's the thing, everyone has a different perspective or a preference to how much noise cancellation they want. Now, there's no denying the fact that Sony is the best in the game when it comes to noise cancellation. But then again, we also have to remember that not everyone wants that ultimate noise cancellation. So when you're offering a flagship product, it's nice to have that control over that noise cancellation as well. So long story short, as far as the sound signature is concerned, for normal users, it's amazing. For bass lovers, you would love it. If you're concerned about noise cancellation, again, you would love it. There's hardly a product that even comes close to this. However, if you're an audiophile who prefers listening to all different sorts and different spectrums of music, you might have to play around with the equalizer settings because, like I said, while the bass here is perfect, the mids and the highs need a little bit of tuning to adjust to your personal needs and preferences. Okay, so speaking of adjustments, let's talk about the software experience here. Now, when it comes to offering a good software or a companion app for headphones, I think Sony and Jabra are the best in the game. Samsung does come close, but then that's what truly wireless. Sony and Jabra are two companies that offer far more customizability than any other competitor out there, and it's just a very intuitive experience as well. You don't need to be an audio expert to actually be able to fiddle around with these settings. Even a noob user can play with the app and get a desired output. The Headphones Connect app also offers features such as adaptive sound control feature, which basically detects your movements and location and adjusts the sounds accordingly. There's also the 360 reality sound. Now, this is Sony's simulated surround sound feature, which unfortunately we could not test here due to the lack of apps supported here in India. That being said, from what I've heard, it sounds good, but then again, I know for a fact that I'm not a fan of 360 surround sound per se because it just always feels simulated. It's not the actual experience, and if you're an audiophile, you can always make out that it's not the natural sound. And the app also offers the speak to chat feature, which basically detects when you're speaking and also turns on the ambient sound mode automatically. Furthermore, there's also the DSE Extreme mode, which basically works on low bitrate audio and reconstructs it to gain more detail from the compressed audio. However, do note that it only works in SBC and AAC mode and not in LDAC. There's also a Spotify tap feature here, which basically means you can double tap or triple tap and the headphones will automatically launch Spotify on your device. Now that sounds like a very helpful feature, and I'll be honest, I personally like it, but there's also the fact that I liked it because I use Spotify. I would have preferred if Sony basically offered you an option to reassign it to any app of your preference, because if you're someone who uses Apple Music or Tidal or YouTube Music, then basically that feature makes no sense to you. Alright, so lastly, we have the battery backup here. Now, Sony claims about 30 hours of battery backup, which is a big number to throw around, but I'll be honest, that is a very precise description of the battery backup that I was expecting or actually getting from these headphones. Now, of course, it obviously depends on your usage. And when I was using these headphones, there was a mixture of ANC on and off. I wasn't like thoroughly using it with ANC on at all times, because let's be honest, as good as the ANC here is, after a while it can get a bit overpowering. And of course, with ANC on, your audio experience also does take a hit, because the sound spectrum does change a bit. So yeah, I was using it in a mixture of both the things, and in that perspective, 30 hours of battery backup is something that I was able to reach. Also, the good part here is that with just 5 minutes of quick charging, you can squeeze about 3 hours of playback time, which itself is great. So the big question, are the Sony XM5s worth it? Well, of course, there are pros and cons to it. So let's talk about the positives and why you should be considering the Sony XM5. Of course, the first reason would be that you're eyeing these things for the amazing noise cancellation that these things offer. Apart from that, you also get an excellent design that's not only very premium but also very lightweight and comfortable. You also get great audio quality, especially if you are a fan of lows. Adding on to that, even the mic quality here is great and is more than sufficient for audio calls. What's more is that you also get excellent battery life here with support for fast charging. Now, the only reasons why I think that you might want to skip out on these are, well, they're not as portable. So if your use case involves a lot of roaming around with headphones packed in a case, then of course these are not that portable. Secondly, like I said, if you're an audiophile or someone who listens to a wide array of music or a different spectrum, basically, lows, mids, highs, and different sound signatures, in that kind of scenario, you might want to either spend some time basically tinkering with the audio quality or just going with a brand that offers a different sound signature. Lastly, of course, there's the price. Now, the MRP of these things is about 35,000 here in India, but of course, right now you can get these for about 27,000. At 27,000, they are definitely a premium product. But then again, it's Sony. There's obviously a brand value attached to that as well. It's not to say that you can't get similar sounding products for a cheaper price tag. Of course you can, but then Sony offers a level of premiumness and refinement, and of course you would have to pay a premium for that as well. With that being said, if you don't really need a headphone right now, you can wait a little bit for about 3-4 months, because I'm sure that in about 3-4 months of time, these things will be retailing for about 22,000. And at that price, it's an excellent deal. Well, that was it. If you found this video helpful, make sure to let us know by giving us a thumbs up and subscribing to our channel for more awesome tech content. Till then, this is Juan from GTR, and I'll see you in the next one.